Well, good evening. You're very welcome to Inside Line Racing for round number 7 of ILR6 here at the Hockenheim Ring. My name is Graham and I'm going to do my best to bring the action tonight from a track that is, well, no short supply of action, but we'll get to all that good stuff. As you can see, it is wet conditions, intermediate conditions here at Hockenheim, so I am told, however, it is going to be a dry race, so no difficulty then in choosing between a wet and a dry setup, at least for the race. You'd imagine most will be going for the dry setup, but you do have to contend with the rain for the next 15.5 minutes. Don Rajib is going to get us started here by the looks of it, so we'll go on board just to kind of see where the track is at, kind of in terms of drivability. It looks like light rain, to be fair, so it doesn't look like it's getting heavier anytime, at least soon. So, but still difficult conditions nevertheless, because it is, especially if you're running no traction, very easy to slip and slide, and you can see just missing that braking zone a bit there. No, if you're running no ABS as well, difficult track as well, with obviously stopping distances increased in the wet conditions. But kind of as Don Rajib makes his way around, we can go through the standings. It is King MJ at the top, 108 points. He's 20 points clear ahead of XCI Dan, who won last time out in Silverstone, and then Don Rajib then is 2 points behind him in third place, and he's 22 points behind King MJ. So plenty of work to do for those two, but like a start, we already lost Speed Iceman from this session, so he's had an off already. So in the constructors, Ferrari leads the way, 154 points, 62 points ahead of both Mercedes and Renault, with Toro Rosso a long way back on 58 points in fourth. So that kind of tells you where the constructors has gone these first half of the season, basically, as Don Rajib comes around as a 122 flat. So see how that lap time stacks up, but that is the benchmark, at least the early benchmark these guys have to set in the wet conditions. It's actually noticing that Renault being in third place, it's some great stuff between Johnny and Dan to get themselves into that conversation in third place for the constructors, a tied second actually. So you know, it's a Mercedes tough combination to be with Don Rajib and Lord Elephant, but although Lord Elephant hasn't really had the best season so far, that's not a bad time for Suleiman, to be fair. 22.3. Oh, he runs wide. He's going to make contact with the wall. He does, but manages to point it so he didn't lose a wheel, and it was actually so much he didn't even lose a wing. So that was fantastic stuff there from Suleiman. Managed to avoid that, but that just shows the difficulty it is to take turn one here, especially it's such a high speed corner. You know, it is make or break in your lap. If you get that right, you set yourself up for a great lap around here. If you get it wrong, you're on the back foot. So really the key to this lap is at the start. You know, it's again, sector 3 is all good and all, the hairpin etc, but you know, it is make or break through turn 1 is where this it's all won and lost here, basically, in terms of lap time. Bastos again 22.3, and another improvement for Don Rajib. It's still a 22 flat, but he further increases his lead. And in the wet conditions, looking qualifying, personally, you know, I like to stick in a lot of fuel in the car and just do laps, basically, as long as the track conditions aren't, you know, getting too much worse or better for that matter. Just stick fuel in the car and just do a good number of laps. Just you get an eye in for the track, an eye in for the conditions, and you can really just kind of build consistency as you go along, as Johnny then puts up a 21.9, first man into the 21s. As Noel Patrick then goes third, only to be knocked off by Sir Lane. This track is getting quicker, isn't it, by the looks of it? Some good lap times now being pumped in, some very, very close lap times now as well. So good to see so far. Whereas King MJ, he is just coming down towards, I believe that is turn it was turn 8. I'm still doing some of the track corners here because it's an older track. As he makes his way towards the stadium section now, see what he can do. As he rounds the Sachs curve. Not a very nice spot for Ferraris, but hey, it's a conversation for another day. And last two then, easy to run wide. You just want to get on the power, but you have to fight that urge, at least for the first bit. Very clean. Comes across, and it should be pretty good. Actually, it's a 121.7. It is provisional pole. That last sector was so clean. And there you go then. King MJ, for the moment, is on provisional pole position. His teammate is in 7th. So again, it's been a great pairing all season, Ferrari, and you'd imagine some more good points will be on the table for them today, but it's a long way to go. There's a bit of traffic by the looks of it. Who is that? That's a Haas and a Renault by the looks of it, is it? Is that Suleiman? It is, and now Johnny then does pull over a bit. Come, quick last flight in there. No, Patrick then, I think, it was Juwame then had gone actually 6th in the other Force India then, and then Noel Patrick then improved his lap to a 121.9. So a couple guys now creeping into the 29s. We're just 3,000 ahead of Johnny. So that's a good lap from Noel Patrick. He was seems like I say this every week, but confidence wasn't too high. But I think maybe these wet conditions have once again saved him somewhat, as they did kind of last week as well, or the week before. So is anyone on a flying lap at the moment? Suleiman actually 121.8. That's a great lap from him in the Haas. Lifts him up to 2nd place. But they're all still chasing the championship leader, who's now round in the final 2 corners. Will he come into the pits? He will. And let's be cautious on pit entry there. Yeah, easy to make a mistake, fly into the gravel trap, and I have control and such. And I speak from pain, personal pain of taking a bit too much speed into that pit lane, but there you go. It's a story for another day. As a couple of guys, are they all getting ready to come in or staying out? Because a lot of people seem to have taken 2 or 3 lap stabs at this. I wonder if they've fueled up for any more. So no, Sir Lane's going to carry on. The car in front of him is going to as well, and across the line they come. 22 flash still for Sir Lane, so he's still in 5th place. And Noel's gone for another lap, has he? No, he was actually just rounding the final corner. Actually, that he's one, I think, that ran wide. Suleiman then peeling into the pits. Gets onto the gravel, but no excessive speed. So the majority of people then kind of, well, half I'd say in the pits. So others now have come back out, like Lord Elephant. See a little bit of traffic there in front, and ILRT smudge 21.9, and it does look like this track is getting better. So that knocks down the Red Bull of Noel then into 4th. And Don Rajib's going to have some work to do. He's trying to get some work done on the track, trying to overtake some cars. There's a lot of cars in that kind of area, that hairpin area. Key to get in front and set himself up for the best possible lap with as little traffic as possible. He has got a Force India. It is a Force India of Johnny in front of him on an outlap as well. So look, it is not the largest track in the world, so it is easy to run into traffic, but plenty of areas to get out of the way, such as run down towards turn 2. You can get out of the way all the way down to the hairpin turn 6, so plenty of opportunities to peel away and not to obstruct anyone else. And Noel's going for another lap then, so he's filled up for the long haul. It seems it's going to be the 5th lap on those tyres, so he's going to start another lap then, as he's just got 8 minutes to go. Where is Don Rajib? We'll go on board Don Rajib, see how he takes this turn 1, make or break in this lap. Just over to the left hand side, nice and easy into turn 1. That was nice. And the run down then towards turn 2. See that medium traction at work. 6th foot planted, and he can just carry on, carry the speed without worrying about the rear stability of the car. So not a bad lap so far from Don Rajib. We'll see where it takes him. Johnny's got, there's 2 Force Indias in front of him. One doesn't look like he's on a flying lap actually, and possibly the second one too, if the ERS is any indication. You can see the Don Rajib in the background. So if Johnny wants to keep this track position, he's going to have to pick up the pace a bit, because the Mercedes behind him is on a flying lap. We'll see how flying that is soon enough. And he pulls over to the right hand side, does Johnny, but Don Rajib runs very, very wide. And will that be an invalidation as he drifts a bit in towards the stadium section? So the second part of the lap has been a little bit sloppy. See if he can redeem it in the 3rd sector if his lap is still valid. Back end want to step out of the Sachs curve, and again keeping his foot planted to the floor, as Noel Petrick does another fastest lap, or another fastest lap at the top, rather, 21.7. And will this be an improvement for Don Rajib as well? It's a 21.6. Despite that little sloppiness in the middle and final sector a bit, he still managed to find a 10th on, well, that's half a 10th rather than the quickest time so far, but it is the quickest time so far from Don Rajib. But I'd imagine that may not be the case for too much longer, and it looks like King MJ could be on the lap himself, and it already went quick earlier on, and that's without, I think, the improved track conditions. But I think actually the rain, it looks like it has picked up just a little bit. We'll see if that has any major effect on the lap time as he comes through the Sachs curve. As Bastos, and the track is getting quicker, isn't it? It's going to be interesting to see these laps fly in then. Bastos 121.5. His teammate just wanting to get on the throttle. You can see the patience as he unwinds and onto the main straight. It's a 21.5 as well, half a tenth up on his teammates. So again, fastest laps being pumped in by the Ferraris then. We're looking at a strong position, but if that is any evidence, I think there is a little bit more improvement to find as Noah finally comes into the pits then. See if anyone's near the end of a lap. Ooh, Johnny getting onto the raggedy edge through sector 3. There is that Don Regib on another lap? It is. So go on board with the Mercedes. I think he's up on his time, isn't he? And it's a 21.4. So he goes quickest then of the session so far. Track then looks like it is just finding more and more and more time. Can these Ferraris find any more time on their next laps? Where's Dan on this? Dan has not done a ton so far. He is out on track, but hasn't set a lap time. Well, he has set a lap time, but it's only good enough for 15th place at the moment. And looks like he is on an out lap at the moment. There's a little bit of traffic in front of him. I think that could be a Haas. Round in the final two, actually it's a Sauber. And RT Johnny looks like he's gone up to 5th place then, so his teammates done the work, but the title contender needs to do some work now himself. This flying lap, let's see how he takes turn 1. Misses the inside apex, slightly fighting the car, so he's lost ground already through turn 1. That won't do his lap time any good. Be tough to claw that back now from here. He can still make up good ground, but I think in terms of a provisional pole lap, I think it's lacking a little bit now. Just that it's so important to hook up that turn 1. It really is so important for getting the rest of your lap in shape. There's not a ton of areas you can make massive mistakes on that track, but that corner is definitely the main one as Don Reggie pulls into the pits. As does the Force India of Johnny, so he'll come in as well. See if anyone is near the end of a lap. That's a nice shot. As Iceman Salah snakes his way into towards the sector 3 rather, and Lord Elephant then gets himself into the equation. Then finally this season, but it looks like in qualifying 21.6, finally hooked it up it seems, and now be interested to see him amongst the front runners now as well. But he did that on the 3rd lap of his inters, and he's got low fuel, so he might not get another chance to do another lap and get back out in time. Oh, there's a skid, and that is Smudge. MK Bourne's out of the race, or out of the session now as well, so and Smudge looking not to join them as well, to be fair. Manages to save that one, but for MK Bourne it is all over. He is in provisional 8th place, and the track is showing improvement still. He's going to fly out of that top 10 very, very quickly. Whereas Dan then, he is still not got a representative lap time in, though is 2 tenths up on his current time, 18.3. Still 4 tenths off, as Smudge now has retired. It's still 4 tenths off of what the front what Don Regip has done, so he's still not able to hook it up, and he needs to get this hooked up in a hurry. At least get himself into the top 10, because if he starts 15th, it's well, not that he can't make his way through the field, but just gives him that much work to do for the race. And you know, with Don Regip and King MJ already at the top of the grid so far, you know, you're more than likely going to be losing out more points unless something goes very pear-shaped for those two at the front, which is of course always in play, but just not the place you need to be leaving yourself in. So let's see if he can hook up then the sector 3, give himself some chance. Back end one to slip and slide all the time. The final turn, it is an improvement, but it's only at 22.3. That's a much better turn 1. Back end one to step away, but he caught it this time. That's a much better turn 1, so maybe he can use that as a springboard for the rest of his lap. Sir Lane, meanwhile, round in the final corner himself in the McLaren. This looks like an alright lap, to be fair. And it's a 21.7, so he popped himself up with the 6th place. Not a bad lap at all. I'm interested to see what Noel Petrick can do now on a fresh set of inters. Of course, set his time on 6-lap old inters by the end of it. So I'm interested to see what he can do. The session is beginning to tick down. Last minute, 20 seconds. Don Regip will get should get another chance for another lap if he messes this one up, so nice little safety margin for him. And Orwell did get out in the end, and he should round the track in time to get himself another lap in the Force India. If you want, maybe move up to 7th place. So MK Born and Smudge. Oh, there's a car off the track. Is that a... not sure who that is, but regardless, they're on their way again. I think Noel Petrick is backed out of this lap as he's turned down the ERS by the looks of it, so he's got time though. How about Bastos then? Rounding the final corner, and he goes provisional pole, 21.2. So convincingly fastest thing we've seen, and he runs wide, and that should be his qualifying over and done with. His teammate, I think, not sure if he's on a lap or not, but he rounds the final corner. Iceman Salah, 21.6. And there's a man into the 20s. King MJ 20.9, so the track is getting quicker and quicker. So it could be a case of whoever sets their lap time last could be the one to take away some good grid position here. As Sir Lane in 21.2, the track is getting significantly quicker, isn't it? So lap time's fine, and Noel Petrick 21.1. So if you don't hook the lap up, you're in big trouble. Johnny then 21.3 as well. And Don Rajiv 21.8, so he needs to hook up this lap, otherwise he's in big trouble. As Bastos then still 4th place. Where's Lord Elephant? He's on a lap then, and he's got a bit of traffic in front of him, but he is up on his time. Checker flag is out. Force India Wapmate is slowing down, so that's him done. 2 Renaults teetering on the edge of the top 10. First one is Johnny then. So he rounds the final 2 corners. His teammate's not too far behind him, but he'll be the first one then of the bunch. Out of the final corner, what can he do? The 20... well, it's a 21.2, but it wasn't valid, so he won't be improving any further. See if anyone there. Here's Bastos, and can he improve? No, he can't. It's still P4 for the Ferrari. See if you can find anyone. I saw a Toro Rosso, I think, going through this last corner. I can't find him, but anyways, King MJ then rounding the final corner. Dan is out of the session, so that's it. He's going to be starting at 11th at the very best. It's a further improvement, 20.8 for King MJ. Can Noel improve as he rounds the final corner? He's in 2nd place at the moment. Can he take provisional pole? No. It's a 21 flash. It was an improvement, but not an improvement by enough. Whereas Don Rajiv, he is getting close to the mix here as well. Sir Lane pulls into the pits. Lord Elephant is rounding the final corner very wide. And doesn't improve his teammate. Same story. I think he's not improving, is he? No, he has improved, 21.1. It's good enough for 3rd place, so good recovery then for Don Rajiv. And I think that is going to do it for this qualifying session. So a lot of frantic change at the end. But he has jumped up to P3 at the very best, and once again the championship leader has been the benchmark in qualifying. King MJ, convincing enough in the end, 20.8, the only man to break into the 1 minute 20s, and he'll be starting from pole position, the bestie in the house, for the short run down to turn 1. It was a very good time. And the track was definitely getting quicker as it ended, so it made it count. But Dan has got a lot of work to do from P11. Of course, they'll all have free choice of tyres, which normally P11's not a bad place to be. But since they have free choice of tyres, that's a little bit... that advantage isn't really there. So King MJ ahead of Noel Petrick then in 2nd. Don Rajiv in 3rd. Sir Lane 4th. Bastos 5th. Johnny 6th. Iceman Sella in 7th. Excuse me, Lord Elephant 8th. Uwapmate 9th, Johnny 10th, XCI Dan 11th, Superman in 12th, MK Born 13th, Smudge 14th, Pinsky 15th, Ryan Berry 16th, Monkey Bag 17th, Nas in 18th, and Speed Iceman then rounding out the grid in P19. So an interesting racing prospect. Will anyone go for the Ultra Softs? I believe it is I'm told it's a dry race, so we'll be seeing that. There is confirmation, so sun is shining in Germany, so that's good news then for, well, everyone basically. 34 laps in the wet here can be pretty tough, but we'll see what they decide. A lot of choices to make now, to be fair. Will anyone risk the Ultras? Who's bold enough to risk Ultras? Go for basically a 2-stop. It's a lot to ask for the mediums. If you're using the Ultras, you need to take them a decent bit, at least lap, what's it, 8 or 11? You do have to take them a good bit, but the sensible choice here is soft If you're a bit further outside the top 10, maybe chance mediums. Maybe if you're XCI Dan, you chance mediums and hope you don't get frogged off the line too much and make up the ground in the second stint, or use your pace advantage and your softer tyres to your advantage. It's a tough call, but you know he's got to do something different, because at the moment he is in 11th and he's a bit out of contention here for now. So everyone is on softs inside the top 10, bar the Force India view Watt. He is on mediums. Two Renaults are on softs then, so softs for Dan. And then the only two runners on mediums are Suleiman and MK Bourne, who has actually made the long run work for him a few times this season as well. So I have no doubt he can make it work here. But it's a long old stint. You're going to lap at least 22, 3-ish. You're basically asking these mediums to go, which is, it's a fine tyre, but it's a lot to ask of them. It's a lot. It's not even a lot. It's not. I take the back. It's not a lot to ask of them. It's just a long way into this race. It's just a long stint, and you just have to prepare yourself mentally for that. So, as they weave away, again, King MJ's in a great spot for this one. Soft tyres, of course, a sensible choice. No one chose ultras in the end. Not a surprise. They are a pretty awful race tyre. Yeah, awful race tyre. So, no surprise, but alas, a short run down to turn 1, so King MJ I think would be good. Key here is for Dan. What can he get in terms of his start? He's got a driver on the mediums in front of him in terms of at Force India. He's got his teammate as well, so I wonder will any gamesmanship be taking place there. But as Bastos is disconnected from the session, so that's a rough one. He's got a few seconds to get back into that car, otherwise he's going to get swamped, and that'll be one more position that Dan does not have to make up if that Ferrari does not start. I think luckily for well, we'll see actually. So let's take their places on the grid. Moros actually joined then, so might be on a default setup sadly, but yeah, he gets to take place from the back of the grid. So then, any predictions for a race winner? King MJ looks like a good position. Well, let's find out then. 34 laps to find out just what will take place here in Germany. Short run down to turn 1. King MJ extended lead at the top. Away we go. That's a poor start for No Pet. She's going to be swamped shortly by Don Najib immediately. And look at that, straight into P2. Goes to Mercedes, and Serlane taking that position away from him as well. A bit of contact through the rest of the field as if actually Noel's completely stopped. But it looks like he's off the track already as they race down towards turn 2. Tied Pinsky got squeezed himself in. A lot of contact taking place, but they seem to have got through relatively cleanly. As a great start for Dan. He's already into P7 rather. And then look at the train in front of him as they all jostle for position. There's Iceman Seller, there's your Watt mate. They slow down towards turn 6, trying to take it on the outside is Dan. A little bit of a squeeze. And a bit of there's an accident at the back. There's our front wing there for sure. Not sure who that was, but we'll have a look. As they make their way then towards stadium section. XCI Dan has got by you Watt mate. Then that's a great start for Dan into 6th place already. He's made the most of that start. As King MJ already with a 1 second lead, have Don Najib in 2nd, Serlane in 3rd, Johnny then in 4th, Iceman Salah 5th, Darren the great start in 6th, Wattmate 7th, ILRT Johnny in 8th, Smudge Knight and Lord Elephant then in 10th has been swamped there by Pinsky, and he moves then into P10, and Speed Iceman nipping his way through as well, so not the best start for Lord Elephant here, falling down through the order to start, but it's a great start for Don Najib, absolutely disastrous, and I have no idea what happened to Noel at the start. He was absolutely awful start to begin, and then was some way wide through turn 1. Not sure what happened, but he is at the back. It doesn't look like he's got damage though, so he can at least continue on and we'll try and make up some places. As MK Bourne is kind of gone backwards on those mediums, kind of as you would expect, but as Lord Elephant already picks up a 3-second time penalty, so you're going to see lots of those in this race, absolutely loads of them. As breaking the way down to turn 6, Johnny Wattmate, he's got that move done into P7 then, so the Renaults start off well with a twitch there from Lord Elephant. Almost cost him dearly, and he's got Speed Iceman and Pinsky squabbling for the last point in P10. Pinsky holding on to this one, so you can see the start then. Great start for Speed Iceman, and he had a lot to do obviously after the disconnect then. He's in P11 then from P19. Smudge, Pinsky, Dan, they all had great starts. ILRT, Johnny as well. Some great starts all up and down the field. So we're going to see a lot of action because the DRS here is so powerful. It is so powerful. As King Engine then 1.4 seconds in front, ahead of Don Regib. 1.3 then separated, or 1.8 rather, separating Don Regib and Sirlane, and Sirlane under pressure then from Johnny. The other Johnny just picking up a 3-second penalty, and he's going to absolutely swamped here. Surely is Sirlane, because DRS here is unbelievably broken. And if you have it and you don't, you're going to find out all about it then, as this McLaren is pretty helpless. Doesn't even bother to defend the inside line. Down the inside goes Johnny. Can Sirlane hold around the outside? He's kind of nudged a bit, so he's holding on. But he's got Iceman selling then for company. Will he launch it down the inside? No. Gained enough speed. And will Sirlane go down the inside in towards turn 8? Not quite. He had a good run though, but he has lost that position then. And now he's in a decent... It's funny to say he's in a better position now than he was when he started, because now he's going to be the one with DRS then. So, and he should, if he gets a good run out of turns 2 and 3, might have a good run then towards getting that position back. So it's a lot of work for Johnny to do then, basically half a lap to try and get in front, enough in front rather, to whether that point of DRS then, you know, 7, 8, 10's kind of range, and then you're still kind of safe. It looks like a corner cut, to be fair though. There's going to be lots, again, there's going to be a lot of penalties in this one, and there's another one for Smudge down in P9. So 0.6 of a second, is that enough for Johnny to be safe? It looks fairly good. We'll see though if he can take that place back. Sirlane from Johnny in P3. Again, look at that, reeling him in, but he's so low on ERS, he's losing a bit of top end speed, and he got close but not close enough, so that kind of is safe, as Iceman Cell trying to have a look down the inside, is compromised a bit on the exit. Oh, down a big wallop of oversteer, but has caught it, and thankfully even for him, his teammates not too close rather, behind him to take advantage, so he still holds on to P6 and is still very much in the hunt then for a top 3 spot. Further down the field, I don't think anyone's made a stop yet, have they? As Noah Petrie trying to take his way. Oh, Lord Elephant's out, actually, you can see there he is. So one Mercedes then we've lost already, and Lord Elephant's disastrous season continues. At the front, King MJ leading the way 1.3 ahead of Don Regib second, and a bit of a gap then towards this kind of quartet, kind of turning into a quintet, as then lots of penalties then. King MJ, Johnny then picking up penalties, so lap 5 already a penalty. So I think this race, it's fair to say pace looks pretty close, at least in this early stage, but I think penalties will be the deciding factor here. Can anyone pick up a toe? Actually, Iceman Cell has got a good toe, and Sirlane's dropped out of DRS, and that's going to be very costly shortly for the McLaren. Down the inside goes Iceman Cell, and no defence then for Sirlane. Is he been compromised out of the hairpin? Will Dan go down the inside into turn 7? He will. It's a dangerous place to make a move. It's a brave place to make a move, but he has got the move done, and that's double trouble then for Sirlane. He's dropped then from 4th down to 6th. So after his good start, he was in 3rd, and now he's dropped down to 6th. So he has a little bit more margin between Mate and ILRT Johnny, who are going side by side. Oh, there's been contact, but thankfully thankfully no one was sent into a wall or facing the wrong way, and these two could continue their scrap with Smudge and Pinsky. Speed Iceman right behind them. So again, DRS trainings are fairly frequent here at the Hockenheim ring, and if you could break DRS like Iceman Salah did, or like Johnny did rather, then you're in a good spot then. And now Johnny he's got a nice little separation between himself and Iceman Sella, and who's actually Speedman. The other Iceman's picked up a penalty. Good separation between himself and Dan. Speaking of XCI, Dan, he's got gonna have a great chance to need to get a run this 4th place, because Iceman Sella's not got DRS. He pulls over to the right hand side, tries to go defensive, but the pure speed difference is going to allow Dan surely just more straight line speed. He's got way too far back is Iceman Cell to try and make that up into the hairpin. I love skirmish going on here, as there's Pinsky's, Smudge, and Mate and Johnny. They're all still squabbling for P7. It's still headed up by that Renault, but constant chop and change Let's see if... Oh, it actually has been damaged to smudge. He's missing half of his front wing and pulls himself into a wall, and that is his race over. I think the stewards will want a word with the intentional nature of that crash, but we'll see if it brings out a safety car of any sort as Suleiman picks up a 3-second penalty as well. They're coming in thick and fast. And speaking of, Don Rajib is within DRS of King MJ. That could be very, very important as Dan then puts in the fastest lap of the race. Of course, we knew he had DRS last time around, and that surely has played a factor as well. But this is looking pretty good for Don Rajib. Can he make some sort of move on King MJ? He's kind of just in that range where it might be a bit too far back even with DRS on this occasion. See if he can pull himself in as Dan has actually capitalised. Oh, Johnny's made a mistake and he's been on the grass. You can see the wear on his tyres and he's been absolutely swamped by everyone. And well, that has moved down up to third. Has moved up a lot of people, a lot of places. I can see that then. I think Johnny trying to make a move on Pinsky, makes contact front to rear. That's going to allow Johnny maybe other chance to get back in position on the other Johnny down the inside through 7, and Johnny Johnny fighting back through 8. They can stick through 9. He's still got the inside, has the Force India, as he's still got the engine glitch down the inside then towards the stadium section. Can he make the move stick? Yes, it looks like it. So he has gained some position back, but definitely had an off somewhere, probably outside of 2, heading into 3, possibly back end easy to lose there with the traction. And that is then Johnny a long way down the order, but good news then for Dan. Iceman Cell, they can gain back a position or 2, and Iceman Cell looking pretty good, 4/10 behind Dan. Can maybe look to make a move with DRS this time round. What about Don Rajib then this time round? Looked a lot closer this time. Can he make it up? Getting closer and closer as that Ferrari will go down the inside. Thought about the doors left wide open, to be fair, so I don't think he was going to go for it initially, but the door was left open. King MJ looked like he prioritised the wider line and it gave him a better exit of 6, but can he hold on through 7 and 8? Jink into the left hand side. I think King MJ is going to hang on this time round. Somehow Dan has survived against Iceman Sella, despite being around 4 or 5 tenths ahead through DRS zone. Somehow survived, as has King MJ, but risky business. He left that door wide open to the hairpin. Luckily for him, it didn't result in him losing the lead or any other accident that could have been invited through the subsequent turns 7 and 8. So easy to desync through there if you're following a high speed, especially after coming off a very, very close hairpin. But he is still leading the way, 4.2 seconds ahead. And Iceman Sella has had an off, has he? Yes! Almost made contact with the Force India then, so he was in 4th, and now it's dropped down to 7th. Oh, he's going to try and hang in the inside, is he? Of Pinsky as well. That was very, very close. Look at this group. We've got Iceman Sella outbreaking, and Johnny then into turn 2. That was a great job from Johnny. Outbroke him, and the other Johnny then trying to make up a move on Pinsky, who looks like he's got wing damage to the left hand side, and we'll have DRS. And Iceman Sella trying to take back that position from Johnny. He's going to have to hold it around the outside. And ILRT Johnny's there as well as Pinsky. And Speed Iceman is as well. And Monkey Meg and Ryan Berry making contact. Bastos then has managed to get back into his car. Sam's disconnected on the formation lap. He's going to try and hang around down the inside. This is for P12, but he backs out of it for now. So frantic action as again Ryan Berry, Monkey Meg. Oh, a bit of contact actually looks like between the I think it was Ferrari and the Red Bull. Looks like no, Petri's got more damage then to that right hand side, and so he's going to be needing to replace that wing. Meanwhile, at the front, or kind of near the front, still absolutely frantic stuff between Iceman, Sella, John, the 2 Johnnies, and then Pinsky's falling a bit further back because he's pulling into the pits and trying to replace that wing. So at the front, it's close. Can Don Rajib reel in that Ferrari to take the lead of this race for the first time? Lap 10, getting closer then to the end of this soft stint, but just too far back in this occasion to try and make a move. Iceman Sella meanwhile, and Johnny scrapping away, and the other Johnny as well, the Renault, trying to fit down the inside. It was going to be bold stuff, a little bit of contact. Who can emerge on top? Missed the corner completely, has the Renault. Will that mean anything? No. And he has kept that position, and he's in P6. and Sir Lane then has lost out to Uwapmate by the looks of it, so that's for P4. So frantic change. Oh, big lock up from Iceman Sella. That's going to allow Johnny then to pop through, and he's just far enough speed Iceman to hold on to P8, but absolutely frantic stuff as Ryan Berry picks up a penalty. So they're it's penalties thick and fast, it's action thick and fast. It does usually separate a bit through the second stint for the mediums, so it's all about the undercut really, who can make their mediums last the longest as feel comfortable to pit first. We're getting closer and closer and closer, as is Don Rajiv to the back of that Ferrari, and he might be within range now. Just lost a bit of time though heading out of turn 4. I think that's cost him just a bit, and he won't be able to make the move on this occasion. But meanwhile, Johnny and the other Johnny squabbling for P6. Who's going to have DRS here? Who's not going to have DRS? So it's going to be the Force India. It's going to be without DRS, and that's going to allow the Renault great chances just to slip around the outside. Iceman Sella's too far back on this occasion, so there's just the two Johnnies then squabbling away, as well as Sir Lane and Uwapmate. But the McLaren can't take that back from the Force India, but the other Force India has taken it from the Renault, and that has him into P6 then. So separating a bit, will he have a lunge down to turn 8? He will. Left the space, but the outside becomes the inside then through turns 9 and 10, and Johnny taking that P6 then back from the Renault. So any change at the front? No, they're still carrying on, so no pit stops at the front. You got Dallon's kind of slipped into a nice little pocket of space then in third, after well, this constant squabbling has just allowed him to just be, run away with P3 basically 6 seconds in front of Uwapmate then, as he continues to squabble with Sir Lane, as Johnny then comes into the pits, ILRT Johnny that is, into the pits. And Don Rajiv is much closer this time round than last time. Onto the back of King MJ. Again, he's getting close. Will he go for a dive heading into turn 6? He will. This is for the lead of the race. King MJ will try to switch back, and Don Rajiv overcooked himself into the hairpin. That was an easy move then for King MJ. Schoolboy stuff then to take that position back, and he takes back that lead. So Don Rajiv a little bit too exuberant into the braking zone, and he loses then a position he's never had in this race really. And still within DRS though, so he's not cost himself too much time, but overcooked that one into the hairpin, certainly on this occasion. So Uwapmate still holding on to P4 ahead of Sir Lane, who's actually made a stop at this point now. So interesting where Johnny ends up then. He's the first of this kind of group to come into the pits without damage. Of course we saw Pinsky with a damaged wing come in. Anything else up the top? And no, still close, and they're still staying out, and this is actually allowing Dan to catch up a little bit now. 3.5 seconds now behind these front two, these squabbling front two, as Speed Iceman is overtaken by Iceman Sella. Oh, sorry, other way around. And that's for P7, and they're still out there. The top 6 still out. So so Johnny's in clear space then on these mediums, so he's got himself clear air and can really look to just try and get these mediums up to temperature and just push into the clean air, see if it gets up. And Don Rajiv again, King MJ switching back. He's still gonna he's gonna be ahead for turn 7. Well, Don Rajiv will look to turn 8. Beautiful helicopter shot. It looks like that Ferrari's gonna still hold on to the position. Driving on the outside is Don Rajiv. Oh, very, very close to desync. Can we have a look into the inside of the stadium section? No. Oh, there is desync though, and a contact is made, and King MJ is now facing the wrong way around, so a collision for the lead of the race as Dan then pops through, as King MJ tries to get him straightened round. He's going to lose out further positions though to Sir Lane and Uwapmate, and Johnny then looks like he's not going to be able to gain advantage. So disaster stuff, and you can see I think the tyres are absolutely cooked. The rear end, he can't control it. He's going to have to come into the pits, King MJ, to replace those tyres shortly, and he does. So controversial moment in this German Grand Prix. Collision for the lead of this race from Don Rajiv onto King MJ, and that's just the curveball this race needed, as unfortunate as it was for King MJ as he comes into the pits, puts on the mediums. And now where's ILRT Johnny then? Where is King MJ going to end up after all this? He's going to end up in, it looks like, in 10th place by the looks of it. Where's ILRT Johnny? He's just out of the corner, isn't he? So 10th place then for King MJ, and a lot of time to make up. But now what happens at the front here then? Don Regib, guilty of that one, you'd have to say, but I think you'll look at it, but look kind of avoidable. Stewards might want to have a word, so this leaves XCI Dan in a great position, and Don Regib picks up a penalty then as well. So as MK Bourne retires and leaves the session, so all of a sudden from P11 this is looking very nifty then for Dan, but there's still a long way to go in this race, over half distance still to go. Any pit stops incoming on the front, they're going to carry on, and forget that Uwapme is on medium, so he's looking in a nice little position in this race as well, although it makes a bit of a meal of that second to last corner. But it's broken out of DRS range then from Sir Lane, who does then come into the pits. Gets himself slowed down in time. Be interesting to see where he comes out compared to King MJ, because he was kind of close in comparison, wasn't he? I say close. He's a closer comparison to Johnny, and Johnny was, you know, they're quite close as well. So let's see then where King MJ. He's going to come out in front, isn't he? So that kind of shows you how much time Sir Lane has lost getting that car pointed in the right direction, and there he is then. About what? Looks like he's just under 5 seconds then, 4 seconds then ahead of that Ferrari. See if he can make any ends into that gap. As no, Petrick picks up a penalty then. And he's a long way down. So kind of the field does spread at this phase of the race as kind of people come into the pits and put on the mediums in general. We'll kind of see where it all kind of figures once Johnny and Bastos make their pit stops, as well as Dan and Don Regib. And that's going to be this lap for the Mercedes, and the Renault's going to follow him in as well. And this will leave the Force India for Uwapme to just carry on onto his medium stint. Still got at least 7 or so laps, 6-7 laps to go before he makes his stop then. So obviously medium tyres to the front too, no surprises there. And where are they going to come out then? Looks like it's going to be second and third, and about 2 seconds are separating them. So where is King MJ then? Only round in the final corner now, so that kind of shows you how much time has been lost and how much time King MJ's got to try and make up, but it's going to be difficult. As Johnny then, he's going to get ahead of King MJ. He's going to get up to speed, not in time, and he's just behind. And to be fair, he will have to get his mediums up to temperature anyway, so King MJ is always going to get that one. But into P7 then, and it is just about damage limitation then for the championship leader at this phase of the race. See what he can do. So where is he then? Comparison. So it's about 13 seconds or so, 12-13 seconds behind Dan, and a little bit further than behind Don Regib. So it's kind of where he's been left, unfortunately, at this phase of the race. See what he can do. As Uwapme will carry on. Bastos then on 14 lap old softs, I think will surely pit this lap. And he does. And we'll see where the other Ferrari then can emerge. So I'd imagine he'll be quite near the back, I'd imagine, because the gaps are quite close. You know, not a ton of time separating these guys, just covered by multiple seconds. As Suleiman is out of this race, he's binned it surely. There it is, out of turn 1, and a safety car has been deployed. That is the perfect break for King MJ, exactly what he needed. And for Bastos, that's actually worked out quite nicely, hasn't it? Oh, but he's ran to the back of the safety car and is retired as well. So having been handed the lifeline by a safety car, he has only gone and stuffed it into the back of the safety car and is out of this race as well. So a half distance, and this is absolutely brilliant for Uwapme. This is going to put him really into the game. He's going to have to pit, surely. There's no choice at this stage for him other than to pit. By the time the safety car, he picks up the safety car, it'll be lap 18. A lap or two under, it should be lap 20. And he's only 2 or so laps anyways out of the soft range anyway. He's got to do it. But this has worked out brilliantly. Surely he'll come in, he will. Just having to adhere to the delta then. And this is going to play beautifully into his hands, and Don Regib is going to inherit the race lead. But I think Uwapme should pop into third, because Sir Lane is in fourth and he's only rounding the Sachs curve now. So let's see then. Soft compound tires are the obvious choice. Is he going to get ahead of Dan? No, he's not. So there goes Dan. And Sir Lane, no. So that is then Iwame into third place, and that's fantastic stuff for him. And he's on softs, so he's got a real chance then to win this one. This is handing King MJ a big lifeline, because although he is on mediums, the gaps then are going to be closed right up behind this safety car. So this is a lifeline for him, and now he can rely on a bit of pure pace. But also, you could argue that's a lifeline. It could also be a curse in disguise, because there are penalties at this phase of the race. Obviously, well, I wouldn't say maybe a curse, because penalties at this stage, they're going to bunch up, and that's okay. But there's enough time to kind of pull out then gaps to kind of try and bridge 3-6 seconds, wherever you might need for penalties. So I think it all comes down to, so what, Don Rajib has got 1 pen, Dan has got 2 warnings, but no pens. Mate, oh gosh, he's got 2 penalties, so he's gonna have to do a lot of work on these softs. Sir Lane has 1, 2, and is working on a 3rd penalty. King MJ is working on a 3rd penalty, so there's a lot to be kind of decided here. So Dan looks like he's in a good spot. Mate has got some work to do, but he is on the soft compound tyres, and that will count for something. See if he can make enough time, but at the moment I think that Renault looking pretty nice indeed. I think the rest of the field kind of is, going to fall back a little bit. So how many runners we got there? We've got 14 runners still in this race. A couple of them still have to catch up to the back of the safety car. They'll have another lap at least to do so. And you have to be so careful to avoid contact behind the safety car. It's so easy. And that ghost car is going to be problematic, isn't it, for Mate? Because I don't think you can actually overtake a ghost car underneath a safety car, so that could really screw them come the restart. But let's kind of have a look at anything going on in the comments. If you want to try and predict a winner, sure, go for it. It'll be difficult to to try and put one on. It's going to be Dom Rajib, it's going to be Dan, it's going to be Mate. Can KMJ get back into the equation as well? There's the calls for Dom Rajib to be disqualified from the championship. Do you think that was intentional? I don't know. I don't think that was intentional. I think it was just racing, as kind of unfortunate as it was for King MJ. But could be. Look, it was obviously not ideal for King MJ. He's still going to be making up track position. It could have been so much worse as well. He could have easily ended up in the wall with no tyre. Could have easily, the safety cars come out, and that's been a blessing in itself. So it could be so much worse for King MJ. He's going to be in P5 here, but again, we're going to see how it all files up with penalties and any other twists in the tail end safety cars in this lap, so we can kind of begin this kind of phase of the race. These last 15 laps, basically from lap 20 onwards, obviously including the lap that they'll be starting, and then it's up to Don Rajib then to back them up and allow the safety car to get away, and it'll be up to him when to restart this race. So Mate's got to clear that ghost car as quickly as possible. Of course, unfortunately for this time, actually thankfully for him, he could kind of clear before a safety car line. But let's see then. Looks like he's gone. Is Don Rajib, and Dan is right there, so we'll have to wait 3 laps for DRS to be enabled, despite what that graphic says. And it's not been the best restart for Don Rajib. It's been awful for Iwame because you have to wait for that ghost car to disappear. And Dan taking a very conservative then. We got King MJ then being passed by LRT Johnny then. Can he respond? Can XCI Dan? No DRS then to help him for these first few laps. Have to rely on pure wing and straight line speed and fuel mixtures, ERS and the likes. But he's going to pull behind for this time. And look at that, 3 seconds they've gained on Mate, and that's big in this race because of the tyre difference. As King MJ then is getting absolutely swamped. Has he got wing damage? No, he hasn't, but he's just been absolutely swamped in the restart. First by Pinsky, who is on soft compound tyres, so that's then played a big role into it as well. That's a brilliant stroke from Pinsky. He could be easily up for a podium in this race, and King MJ is just falling down through the field. Lost 2 positions, and you can have to say he's looking likely to lose a third at the moment. As Don Rajib trying to fight off XCI Dan. He has to try and break out from 1 second, otherwise it could be catastrophic back on the DRS enablement once again. As Iwatme trying to make up some of this lost time they lost under safety car. The count of that ghost car, but let's try and have a look at this little battle then. As Nas looks like he's off the track. Yes, just trying to rejoin the last corner. Iceman Sella trying to catch up to the back of King MJ. Just a little bit outside for now. As Pinsky looking to try and have a move on Johnny. So Pinsky then's going to be a real factor to watch as long as he can keep that front wing intact. And he look for Dan this lap. He's closing on that Mercedes. Domrachid goes defensive. Goes back over to the braking zone. Dan just playing it very patiently. I think as he should be. As Pinsky then looking to go around the outside at the hairpin of ILRT Johnny. Bare tyres, fresher tyres. He's going to be able to outdrag him though, heading up towards turn 7 as Johnny tries to fight back down the inside. As Pinsky able to hang around the outside of the inside then for turn 8. Ooh, a bit of a nudge on ILRT Johnny, but he manages to hold that position though. King MJ is going to try and sneak down the inside. Iceman Sellers here as well to make things even more complicated. And he backs out in the end, does. King MJ is going to hold on to P7 for the time being. But now, I believe, heading after this lap, I believe DRS will be enabled once again. And just a bit of a poor corner that time round. Poor sector 3 for XCI Dana's. Domrachid sets the fastest lap of the race, only to be knocked off by Iwatme on the soft. And now Iwatme is only 1.1 then behind the Renault. So really important for Dan to try and close up as much as he can. Although he is a good bit behind this lap, just within DRS though. He'll close up somewhat, but not by enough. As there's an off car is Ryan Berry. He's down in the 13th place. Let's try and see what changes up here then. Pinsky then looking to move on Sir Lanus for P4. So Pinsky really making his way through the field. And he's going to hold on to this one then. So Pinsky into 4th place then on Sir Lane. And all sorts of commotions heading back up here. There's Iceman Sella then, who's been overtaken by Nolan on soft tyres as well. That's another obstacle for Johnny and King MJ to look out for now. So anyone's made a pit stop under this safety car and put on softs is really making themselves into, they put themselves into great contention. And Noel, who was absolutely nowhere in this race after lap 1, all of a sudden could be looking on for a nice little half full of points if he continues on his current trajectory. And worrying signs for Dan. He's dropped out of DRS then of Domrachid, and now the Force India of Iwatme is now in DRS and cuts the corner and gets another penalty, so making his work a little bit harder for himself. As Noel Petrick then down the inside of King MJ into the final corners then. So this safety car actually has turned out to be pretty awful for King MJ, because it's just allowed everyone behind him to pitch on softs and they've just overtaken him. He's now down to P8, and that Sauber is close for company as well. So, but of course, nice DRS train here. See what happens, as Noel Petrick surely looking to put a move then on ILRT Johnny as well. The soft compound tyres with the DRS as well. No DRS for the Renault to fight that Red Bull. And let's go around the outside in this occasion. And the switchback, and he should be able to make it work with the grip. Although Johnny's right there, but no will have the inside line. Almost contact made there when you go down the inside into turn 8. He can't quite hang it. Can't quite keep up with that Red Bull, and that is Noel Petrick then into 6th place. And I'll actually Johnny down to 7th then, and he can look to set off after that McLaren. Can Noel see what he can do? Still around 11 laps left as they cross the finish line. Domrachid 1.2 ahead of Dan, who is just 7/10 then ahead of Iwatme. And he's doing a good job to hold on for now, but only a matter of time, you'd imagine, with the fresher tyres, as Noel sets the fastest lap of the race. Aided of course by DRS, but that Red Bull is flying. And now he's in DRS of Sir Lane. So again, Noel looking to make his way through the field on these soft compound tyres, and surely there's going to be no stopping him this time round on that McLaren, who's got no DRS to defend himself. Speaking of defending, oh, Iwatme is going deep into the corner, and so is XCI Dan, and on the exit there's nothing that he can do, and that is Iwatme into P2. Then he's got work to do to try and get up to P1 and then try and escape into the distance. There are penalties at play, and Dan's still looking pretty good at this moment. He's only got the one penalty, I think, or has he just got none? As he runs wide on that part of the track. Have to have a look, but look at this little train. There's no Sir Lane, Johnny, King MJ, Iceman Sella in the mix as well, and Monkey Meg is probably closing them down on soft compound tyres as well, so not impossible that he can get amongst the fun here as well. Let's have just a quick check for Dan on penalties. Still with the 2 warnings, so 1 away then from a penalty. So, but he's still looking in good shape as Sirlane comes into the pits. Has he got wing damage? Because this is unusual. 10-lap old mediums will obviously go to the end. And is he changing wing? No, is this going to be a scheduled pit stop by the looks of it? So, interesting gamble from Sirlane. See if it works out at all. As King MJ making up a place then because of that overtake. See if he can get another one back then. Oh, Johnny almost came across into his line, but he goes down the inside, does the Ferrari, and should be able to make that move stick. Johnny tries, invisible contact, and that is the front wing of Johnny then making a run for it across the track. So he tried to switch back, made contact front to rear, and half spin then for King MJ, but a lot worse off coming off is Johnny then, and now he'll have to make a pit stop surely. And he can join Sirlane in that regard, who's going down the inside of Ryan Berry. Have to try and hang around the outside through turn 8. Bit of a nudge. Won't appreciate that very much, and Speed Ice went right there as well. So Sirlane holding on to P12 at the moment. If he wants to make this work, he's got to make time quickly on these cars in the midfield, as Johnny then carries on. So he's going to try and carry on with this wing damage that has really struggled through turn 1. He's going to really feel it, and this allows King MJ to kind of escape just a bit from Iceman Sella, who has got a full front wing and will surely make a move this time round. As Dan not quite close enough. He's got DRS, so he's still hanging on to the back of Uwap, so it's been really crucial for Dan to see that he's held on within DRS range of that Force India, and has kind of kept him close and not falling too far back of that Force India. And he's still got good time on Don Rajib, just 2 seconds. And of course we know Don Rajib has got at least 1 penalty. I'll double check for a second now actually. It's just 1 penalty actually, but he is working towards a second. So at the moment it is still XCI Dan in the driving seat, but 1 warning and that all changes. As now we're on lap 27 of 34. So exciting end in prospect with a lot to be decided, as King MJ picks up another time penalty out of the last corner, and that won't help his cause to come the start finish line. Holding on to 6th place at the moment, so on course to lose a lot more points in the standings than he did last week in Silverstone when he finished 3rd. We'll see though, there's a lot to be decided before the end of this race, as Iceman Sella then surely going to set himself up for an overtake this time round. No DRS for that Renault. He's still fighting with a broken front wing. Got to try hang it around the outside. Big lock up on the brakes. Can he do the switch back? No. So didn't work out for him, and he's still in P8, but he's going to try and dig into the slipstream, heading down towards turn 8. They go for the move. No. Files back in, locks up, goes a bit wide, and still holds on to P8 for the time being. So he's doing a good job as Johnny, trying to fight with that damaged front wing. Although you figure it's only a matter of time before things, it's going to be difficult to try and hold on to that one. And actually still, bit of a spin, and there goes Iceman Sella. He's gone around. Well, that'll certainly help Johnny, and no damage for the Sauer, but all the progress he had made is lost. And it just looked like he got trapped on that back end, didn't he? Because he was definitely, there was contact definitely made. And here we go then, a little swap going to happen for P2. I think those soft tires have had their best day, as Don Rajib is now breaking away from Uwap Mate, and XCI Dan going to take back that P2. So there you go, Dan then back into position 2, and still on track for the race win, with his lack of penalties still playing the deciding factor so far. But he is 2 seconds behind Don Rajib, and doesn't want to be losing too much more time in the event of that Don Rajib does actually manage to break that 3 second window, and would leave him safe to win this race even with that time penalty. But for now it is 2 seconds, same lap old tyres, so it is just purely down to the drivers at this stage. in terms of making up that gap. Although Dan, yeah, you can see he's working already on breaking DRS, 9/10 already, and it's yet to go through turns 1 and 2, and that should be that safety net then for Dan. Look at that, beautifully controlled on turn 1, absolutely brilliant stuff. And meanwhile, this gap has been kind of the same these last few laps. So there's less than a tenth between Pinsky and Noel for P4. That could easily be for P3 actually, given that the extensive penalties for you want, but I think Pinsky, I think they both have penalties, to be fair. Let's have a quick check. So 1 penalty, 2 penalties, and basically a third almost for Pinsky, whereas Noel has got 1, 2, and 2 penalties. So maybe Watmate will be safe, and it should be safe actually, because he's got basically 5 seconds, and they're basically working on the same amount of penalties, so he's still in good shape for the time being. Honestly, there, Pinsky and Noel are basically on their way to a third already, as Sir Lane then gets by Nas then. And that is for P10, and that could be the extent of Sir Lane's points haul today. It's a strange one why he decided to come into the pits without changing the front wing, unless he was supposed to change the front wing and the team didn't. Entirely possible. That's probably actually probable, given this game. But it just makes no sense, because you could have easily got to the end on his current set of mediums, and it just made no sense to pit from that position. So I'm guessing that's what it was, a damaged front wing that wasn't repaired. But anyways, Monkey Meg is actually looking on for a decent set of points. Looking to try and hunt down P7. Of course, we know Johnny's working with that wing damage. Speaking of the other Johnny, it just shows you how wrong this race has gone for him. You know, he was fighting towards a podium earlier in this race, and well, even after the safety car, he's now in P14. So it just shows you how poorly things have gone. As Dan is just 1.5 seconds behind Don Regime. Oh, late move for Monkey Meg. He's going to get that move done though, isn't he? Bit of a late one, almost made contact with the front wing, but is true, and into 7th place then, ahead of ILRT. Johnny takes a trip across the grass, and he's just trying to limp it home at this stage, isn't he, from P8. Might still be in the range of Iceman Sella, but we'll find out as Noah picks up a 3-second penalty, as he still continues his hunt for P4, but still penalties to contend with. He'll flag it sector 3, not sure that's 4, could be for a ghost, but nothing amongst the leaders as we head into lap 31 of 34, just a couple of laps left now. You see the front left of Noel looking pretty poor. No, Pinsky's looking in a bit better shape though, but maybe the rears aren't great because, well, Noel is right within DRS then, a bit closer than he has been these last few laps. So the gap at the front then has come down to a second, so Dan's still working into that lead of Don Rajib. Not quite within DRS yet, but edging closer and closer. He has been edging closer ever since he made that pass on Watmate, who looks like he's going to be taking it home for P3 at this stage. So this will be a great result for the Force India if he can hold on to it. And look at that, Johnny is already coming into play with Iceman Cell. That gap was like 3 seconds a lap or so ago. Just shows you how much damage that he is running with. And surely only a matter of time before that Renault succumbs to the challenge of that Sauber down the inside into turn 8. Can he make the move stick? Nothing that he can really fight with at this stage, can. Johnny's got 19 laps, but he's got the oldest set of tyres on the track. He's got wing damage. You know, it just hasn't worked out. The second phase of the race, as Noel and Pinsky still right there for P4. KMJ's close, kind of close in the back here. He might be able to make up some ground because they given the. It is kind of further than you would want to take a set of softs, ideally, but of course the safety car forcing the hand. Well, not forcing the hand. For some, for you, what made it force the hand? As Monkey Mick picks up a 3-second penalty. But you obviously have to take on the softs, really. But it is just a little bit further than you would take them under normal circumstances. So the wear, I think, is playing a little bit of a part, but they're still kind of just under 5 seconds ahead of King MJ, who's just kind of settled in at this stage, hasn't he? He's absolutely swamped on the restart. And look like P6 is where he's going to end up with 6.8 seconds back to Monkey Meg in 7th. So lap 32 then of 34. Don Rajib still 1.6 seconds ahead of Dan. I'll try and take a look at the standings. What this result, if it stood, would do, though we are, I'd imagine the stewards will be having a chat with Don Rajib after his incident with King MJ, and with the safety car coming out, a time penalty would kind of be pretty costly, although 10 seconds at this stage would only mean, just in theory, would be only down to 5th place at the moment, so see how it ends. But at the moment, in theory, if this result stood and XCI Dan does overtake on penalties, I'll put Dan on 113 points, and we'll put King MJ on 100 and 6 places, 8 points, 116. In theory, obviously the final standing, the final orders have to be decided, but in theory, we'd have a title hunt once again after looking like, well, after Austria it was looking pretty poor, wasn't it? So it's good for the championship, but King MJ will have well, it'll be interesting to see the ILR6 Twitter chat after this race, because I'm sure there will be a few words exchanged. I'm not sure you won't be the only one. A lot of people have been involved in little incidents in this race, and well, I'm sure they'll be wanting to have a chat afterwards. But meanwhile, for now, Don Rajib round in the final corner for the second to last time as he begins the final lap of the race. All XCI Dan has to do is just not pick up a penalty this last lap, and he's in good shape, and I think he knows as well. So as is the case in the second stint, even with the safety car, the field has spread out. It's absolutely frantic stuff for the first stint, as usual here, and then the second stint things do kind of separate to end, and even with the safety car it's kind of been the case. But sealed in DRS is Noel of Pinsky, but I think that's not going to be as far as he's going to get. KMJ is still 4.5 seconds behind, so even with the aging tyres of the softs, still hasn't really been able to make much of an inroads. But as Don Rajib, that looks like a corner cut, to be fair, could have easily been a warning and a penalty. See rounds turns 11 and 12 for the last time down towards the Sachs curve. He's driven, well, I would say, I can't say he's driven a good race because there was that kind of controversial incident with King MJ, but he's made, well, he's done everything he had to basically in terms of the result. But he comes across the line, he's going to win on the track for the German Grand Prix, but I believe XCI Dan is going to leapfrog him for the win in this race. And there you go then, XCI Dan, your race winner for the German Grand Prix. You Mage finishing 3rd, Pinsky and Noel finishing 4th and 5th respectively on track. King MJ can't jump them, he finishes in 6th. So having started from pole, looked like he was going to go his way, and unfortunately an incident prevented otherwise. Monkey McFrost the line in 7th, Iceman Sells will jump up to 7th in his place. LRT Johnny then, Sir Leyland jumping all the way up to 8th in the end from P10. LRT Johnny then falling to 10th. Ryan Berry around the final corner to take 11th place, just off the points. Nas 12th. Speed Iceman, as he rounds the final corner then, will take 13th, and then it's got Johnny right alongside him. Then a drag race down to the line. I didn't see this one coming. And Johnny then, I can't see the gap, but it looks like, I don't know. I don't know what just happened, as the results are freaking out and the race is over. So entertaining race, a controversial race in the end, but a little controversy about the race winner XCI Dan, who has cleanly taken this one then, top step, 25 points, and a title fight is firmly back on. We'll see what happens with Don Rajib afterwards. That accident is going to be a bit of a talking point in this one, but certainly the title race between Dan and King MJ is definitely back on, and that's what you want to see. So run through the final results and then we will shoot off. Thank you for the experience, always appreciated. So race winner XCI Dan with 0 penalties, the only man to do so in the end. I have Don Rajib in 2nd. Mage picked up a great podium in 3rd. Great job from Pinsky in 4th place with the softs under the safety car. No, Petrick then, who was here, there, everywhere, and ended up back in 5th after everything else. King MJ, well, a really a tough one for him. He's going to finish 6th. Iceman Sella finishing very started somehow in 7th. Sir Lane in 8th. Monkey Meg did well in 9th. RRT Johnny in 10th. Ryan Berry 11th. Nas 12th. Speed Iceman 13th. Johnny in 14th rounds out the finishers. Then we lost Morris Bastos, who crashed into the safety car, not under the safety car, into the safety car. Suleiman, MK Bourne, Smudge, and the Elephant. All seemed like a very long time ago, but that's going to do it for round number 7 of ILR 6 at Germany. Next up for these guys will be Italy, but for Inside Line Racing you can catch ILRs 4 and 5, same track. I'm pretty sure you guaranteed same kind of action. Can't guarantee a safety car, but can guarantee some very good racing nevertheless. So anyways, until next time.